I'm about to reveal something from brand new research published just weeks ago that could drop your blood pressure by 20, 30, even 40 points within weeks. There's one switch in your body, one control system, that when stuck in the on position keeps your pressure dangerously high, no matter how many medications you take. And when you learn to turn it off, your entire cardiovascular system resets. I'm Dr. Claire Whitmore, and after 2 decades as a cardiac surgeon, I've seen this transformation happen hundreds of times. Patients on 4, 5, 6 medications who couldn't get their pressure under control. And then they learned to flip this switch. Within weeks, pressure dropping. Within months, medications being reduced. All because they finally understood what was keeping that switch locked in the dangerous position. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what this switch is. You'll understand the 7 different mechanisms that keep it stuck on. And most importantly, you'll learn 7 proven techniques to turn it off, with complete protocols you can start using today. But first, I need you to do something. Pause right now and comment your current blood pressure reading. Just the numbers. I'm reading every single comment. I want to see where you're starting from because that will help me understand what you're dealing with. Let me tell you about William, because his story demonstrates exactly what happens when this switch stays locked in the on position for years. William was 69 years old when he came to see me. Retired accountant, married 40 years, 2 adult children, and his blood pressure was 178/104. He'd been on blood pressure medications for 6 years, started with 1 pill, then 2, then 3. By the time I met him, he was taking 4 different blood pressure medications every single day. An ACE inhibitor, an ARB, a calcium channel blocker, and a diuretic. His doctors had tried everything. Different combinations, different doses. They'd switch one medication for another, increase the ACE inhibitor, add a beta blocker. Nothing worked. His pressure would come down slightly, maybe to 172/100, but it never reached goal, never got below 160 systolic. And the medications were making his life miserable. The diuretic made him urinate constantly, every hour, sometimes more. He couldn't go anywhere without planning bathroom stops. The ACE inhibitor gave him a persistent dry cough that drove him crazy. The calcium channel blocker made his ankles swell, and the beta blocker made him exhausted all the time. William was frustrated and desperate. "I'm doing everything right," he told me. "I take every pill exactly as prescribed. I never miss a dose. I watch my salt. I exercise when I can. Why won't my blood pressure come down?" I asked William to describe his typical day for me. Not his diet, not his exercise routine. His emotional state, his stress level, his mental patterns throughout the day. Here's what William told me. He woke up anxious every morning. Before he even got out of bed, his mind was already racing, worrying about his health, worrying about whether today would be the day he had a stroke, worrying about his finances in retirement, worrying about his adult son who was going through a divorce. He'd lie there for 20 minutes, with his heart already pounding, his mind spinning, before he even stood up. Then he'd get his phone and immediately check the news. Politics, crime, disasters. Everything designed to make him upset. And it worked. By the time he got to breakfast, he was already wound tight. At breakfast, he and his wife would often argue. Small things. Stupid things. What to have for dinner. Whether they should visit her sister. Politics, again. These arguments would escalate. Voices raised, tension building. Then William would spend his morning watching more news, getting more upset, more worried, more angry. He'd check his blood pressure multiple times, and seeing it high would make him more anxious, which would make it higher. Vicious cycle. By afternoon, he was exhausted from the constant tension, but couldn't relax. His shoulders were tight. His jaw was clenched. His mind still racing. Evening was no better. More news. More worry. Arguments at dinner. Then, lying in bed unable to sleep because his mind wouldn't shut off. He'd finally fall asleep around 1 or 2 a.m., then wake at 5 a.m. with his heart pounding. Poor quality sleep. Wake up tired. Start the whole cycle again. This had been William's life for years. And his blood pressure reflected it perfectly. Constant elevation, never coming down. Stuck. I explained to William what was happening in his body. William, your blood pressure medications are working. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. But there's a system in your body that's overriding them. It's a control system that regulates your cardiovascular function. And in your case, this system has been running at maximum power for years. It's stuck in emergency mode. And when this system is activated, it raises your blood pressure through 6 different mechanisms simultaneously. Your medications are fighting against all 6 mechanisms, and they can't win. William looked confused. What system? What are you talking about? I told him it's called the sympathetic nervous system. Most people have heard it called the fight or flight response. It's your body's emergency alarm system, designed to activate when you're in danger, when you need to fight or run away. When this system turns on, it does several things immediately and powerfully. First, it releases adrenaline and noradrenaline from your adrenal glands. These are stress hormones. They make your heart beat faster and harder. They make it pump more blood with each beat. Cardiac output increases. Second, these hormones constrict blood vessels throughout your body. Your arteries and arterioles tighten up. This increases resistance. More resistance means higher pressure needed to push blood through. Third, your sympathetic nervous system activates the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system. This is a hormonal cascade that starts in your kidneys. When activated, it causes your kidneys to retain sodium and water. Blood volume increases. More volume in the same-sized pipes means higher pressure. Fourth, sympathetic activation suppresses your parasympathetic nervous system. Your parasympathetic system is the opposite. It's your rest and digest system. When it's active, heart rate slows, blood vessels dilate, blood pressure drops. But sympathetic activation turns parasympathetic off. You lose the brake. You're all accelerator, no brake. Fifth, chronic sympathetic activation increases cortisol production. Cortisol is your long-term stress hormone. It raises blood sugar, increases inflammation, and makes blood vessels more reactive to pressure-raising signals. Sixth, sympathetic activation causes insulin resistance over time. High insulin levels tell your kidneys to retain even more sodium, another mechanism driving pressure up. So when your sympathetic nervous system is activated, you have 6 different mechanisms all pushing your blood pressure higher simultaneously. Your medications might successfully block 1 or 2 of these mechanisms, but they can't block all 6. The net result is your pressure stays elevated despite the medications. Now here's the critical part. This system is supposed to activate briefly during actual emergencies. Bear chasing you, car accident, real danger. System turns on. You handle the emergency, danger passes, system turns off. That's how it's designed to work. Brief activation, then deactivation. The problem happens when the system gets stuck in the on position. When it's activated chronically, not just during emergencies, but all day, every day. And that's what was happening to William. Chronic stress, constant worry, poor sleep, inflammatory diet, lack of physical activity, news consumption, arguments. All of these keep your sympathetic nervous system activated continuously. For William, his sympathetic system was running at 80 to 90% capacity from the moment he woke up until he fell asleep. Sometimes even during sleep. 18 to 20 hours a day of high sympathetic tone. And no amount of blood pressure medication can fully overcome that. I told William I was going to teach him 7 techniques to turn off his sympathetic nervous system, to flip that switch from on to off. These aren't relaxation tips. These aren't stress management suggestions. These are physiological interventions that measurably reduce sympathetic tone and increase parasympathetic tone. They work through specific mechanisms that have been proven in research. But before I taught William the techniques, I needed him to understand something important. There are 2 types of sympathetic activation, acute and chronic. They're different problems requiring different solutions. Acute sympathetic activation is what happens during a sudden stress event, an argument, bad news, a near-miss car accident. Your sympathetic system spikes hard, heart races, blood pressure shoots up. This lasts minutes to a few hours. Then it comes back down. The techniques for acute activation are emergency interventions. You need to shut down the spike right now, immediately. Chronic sympathetic activation is different. This is when your baseline sympathetic tone is elevated all day, every day. Even when you're sitting quietly, doing nothing, your sympathetic activity is higher than it should be. Your body is in a constant state of low-level emergency response. The techniques for chronic activation are daily practices. Things you do consistently over weeks and months to reset your baseline nervous system tone. You need both. Acute techniques for when pressure spikes suddenly. Chronic techniques to lower your baseline so spikes happen less often and are less severe. Now comment below and tell me which one applies to you. Comment acute if you mainly have sudden pressure spikes. Comment chronic if your pressure is always elevated. Comment both if you have both problems. I need to understand what you're dealing with. Let me teach you the first technique for acute sympathetic shutdown. This is the fastest way to turn off sympathetic activation that exists. It works within 10 to 30 seconds. It's called the diving reflex reset. Here's how it works and why it's so powerful. When you immerse your face in cold water, specifically when cold water contacts the area around your nose, your forehead, and the area around your eyes, it triggers an ancient reflex that's hardwired into your nervous system. This reflex exists in all mammals. It's called the mammalian diving reflex, or the dive response. The purpose of this reflex is to keep you from drowning when you go underwater. When the reflex activates, several things happen immediately and automatically. First, your heart rate drops, dramatically, often by 20 to 30 beats per minute within 10 seconds. This is called diving bradycardia. Second, blood vessels in your extremities, your arms and legs, constrict. This preserves blood flow for your vital organs, your heart and brain. Third, and this is the critical part for blood pressure, there's a massive shift from sympathetic to parasympathetic nervous system dominance. Your body interprets the cold water on your face as a signal that you're diving underwater. It immediately switches to conservation mode. Sympathetic shuts down. Parasympathetic activates powerfully. The beauty of this reflex is that it's automatic. You can't control it consciously. You can't decide whether to activate it or not. If you put your face in cold water, the reflex triggers, period. This makes it incredibly reliable. Unlike techniques that require mental focus or practice, the diving reflex works every single time in every single person. But here's the key to making it work effectively. The water needs to be cold. The colder, the better. Room temperature water won't do it. You need genuinely cold water. Ice water is ideal. The cold temperature is part of what triggers the reflex strongly. Also, you need to immerse your face, not just splash water on it. The reflex requires sustained contact with those specific facial areas. Your forehead, the bridge of your nose, the area around your eyes. These areas have the highest concentration of cold-sensitive nerve endings that trigger the reflex. Let me tell you about Dorothy, because her story shows just how powerful this technique is. Dorothy was 71 years old. She had anxiety-driven blood pressure spikes. Something would worry her, her pressure would shoot to 180, 185, sometimes 190 over 105, 110. These spikes were terrifying. She'd feel her heart pounding, feel pressure in her head, get more anxious, which made it worse. Vicious cycle. She'd been to the ER 3 times thinking she was having a stroke. Each time, they'd give her IV medications to bring the pressure down, send her home, tell her to follow up with her doctor. No real solution. I taught Dorothy the diving reflex reset. The next time you feel a spike coming, the next time you feel that anxiety and pressure building, I want you to go immediately to your kitchen or bathroom. Fill a large bowl with the coldest water you can get from the tap. Add ice if you have it. Bend over the bowl. Take a breath, hold it. Plunge your face into the ice water. Keep your face submerged. Count to 15 in your head. Then pull your face out. Dorothy looked at me like I was crazy. Sticking my face in ice water is going to lower my blood pressure? That sounds ridiculous. I explained the diving reflex, the automatic parasympathetic activation, the proven drop in heart rate and blood pressure. Try it once, just once. You'll feel it work. And then you'll have a tool you can use anywhere, anytime. 2 days later, Dorothy called me. She'd had a spike that morning, felt anxiety building, pressure in her head, heart racing. Instead of panicking and calling 911, she remembered what I'd taught her. She went to the kitchen, filled a large mixing bowl with cold tap water, added half a tray of ice cubes, bent over the bowl, took a breath, plunged her face in. The shock of the cold made her want to pull out immediately, but she forced herself to stay in, counted to 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Pulled her face out. She stood at the sink with water dripping from her face. And she felt it. Her heart, which had been racing at 110, 115 beats per minute, slowed dramatically. She could feel it. The pounding decreased. The pressure in her head released. The overwhelming anxiety decreased from a 9 to a 4. She dried her face and immediately checked her blood pressure. Before the ice water, it had been 182 over 108. After the ice water, 30 seconds later, it was 156 over 94. 26 points systolic drop in 30 seconds. Dorothy was stunned. She did it again. Another 15 seconds, face in ice water. Checked again, 148 over 88. Another 8 points down. One more time. After the third immersion, her pressure was 142 over 84. From 182 over 108 down to 142 over 84 in about 3 minutes total. She called me crying, not from distress, from relief. For the first time in years, she had a tool that worked, something she could do herself, something that gave her control. Over the following months, Dorothy used the diving reflex reset dozens of times. Every time she felt a spike starting, ice water. It worked every single time. Not always as dramatically as that first time, but it always brought her pressure down 15 to 30 points. And here's what was even better. After a few months of having this tool available, her anxiety about spikes decreased. Just knowing she could stop a spike made her less anxious in general. And less baseline anxiety meant fewer spikes to begin with. Positive cycle instead of vicious cycle. Now, you probably can't do this technique right this second, unless you have ice water ready. But after this video, I want you to try it. Go to your kitchen, fill a large bowl with the coldest water you can get. Add ice. Plunge your face in for 15 seconds. Feel what happens to your heart rate. Feel the shift from sympathetic to parasympathetic. Experience it once and you'll know this works. And when you try it, comment below works or didn't work. I want to see your results. The protocol is simple. Fill large bowl with coldest water possible. Add ice. Bend over bowl. Take deep breath. Plunge face in, focusing on getting forehead and eye area wet. Count to 15. Pull out. Breathe normally. Repeat up to 3 times if needed. Each immersion should drop your pressure another 8 to 15 points. Total possible drop, 25 to 40 points in a few minutes. Safety notes. If you have heart rhythm problems, talk to your doctor before doing this. The sudden heart rate drop can trigger arrhythmias in some people. If you have glaucoma, check with your doctor. The change in pressure during breath holding might affect eye pressure. If you have severe lung disease, the breath holding might be difficult. For most people, this technique is completely safe, but check with your doctor if you have concerns. Now let me teach you the second technique for acute sympathetic shutdown. This is called the Valsalva reset. This technique is used by cardiologists in hospitals to stop certain types of abnormal heart rhythms. It also powerfully reduces sympathetic tone and blood pressure. Here's how it works. You take a deep breath in, filling your lungs completely. Then you hold that breath and bear down hard, like you're trying to have a very difficult bowel movement. This bearing down is called the Valsalva maneuver. When you do this, you create significant pressure in your chest and abdomen. This pressure does several things simultaneously. First, the pressure compresses the major blood vessels around your heart, your aorta, your vena cava, the pulmonary vessels. When these vessels are compressed, pressure sensors in their walls called baroreceptors detect high pressure. These baroreceptors are part of your body's blood pressure regulation system. When they detect high pressure, they send urgent signals to your brainstem saying, "Pressure is too high, dangerously high, lower it immediately." Your brain responds to these signals by activating your vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is the main nerve of your parasympathetic nervous system. When it activates, it releases a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine throughout your cardiovascular system. Acetylcholine tells your heart to slow down. It tells blood vessels to dilate. It shuts down sympathetic activity. The result is immediate and powerful. Heart rate drops. Blood pressure falls. Sympathetic system turns off. But here's what most people do wrong with the Valsalva maneuver. They don't bear down hard enough or long enough. They do a weak, brief strain for 5 seconds and wonder why it doesn't work. For the Valsalva to effectively activate baroreceptors and trigger vagal response, you need significant pressure maintained for at least 15 seconds, ideally 20 seconds. Strong pressure. Not maximum strain that's dangerous, but firm, sustained pressure. Let me tell you about Robert. He was 68 years old. His blood pressure would spike during stressful situations. Arguments with his wife, tense phone calls with his insurance company, upsetting news. Whenever stress hit, his pressure would jump to 185, 190, sometimes 195 over 100, 105, 110. These spikes were dangerous. They put him at high risk for stroke in those moments. I taught Robert the Valsalva reset. Robert, the moment you feel a spike starting, the moment you feel stress building and your heart starting to race, I want you to stop what you're doing. If you're on the phone, tell them to hold. If you're in an argument, pause the conversation. Sit down immediately, take a deep breath, and fill your lungs completely. Then hold that breath and bear down. Tighten your abdominal muscles like you're trying to have a bowel movement. Create strong pressure in your chest and belly. Hold that pressure. I want you to count to 20 in your head. Don't give up at 10. Don't release at 15. Count all the way to 20. Then release and breathe normally. Robert practiced this during one of his pressure spikes. He was on the phone with his health insurance company. They denied a claim he thought should be covered. He was getting more and more frustrated, arguing with the representative, feeling his face get hot, his heart racing. He recognized the spike happening. He told the representative, "Hold on one moment, please," and put the phone down. He sat down in his chair, took a deep breath, filled his lungs, held the breath, and bore down hard. Counted in his head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Halfway there, keep the pressure. 11, 12, 13, getting uncomfortable but keep going. 14, 15, 16, chest tight but maintain it. 17, 18, 19, 20. Released. Breathed normally. He picked the phone back up, and he noticed immediately. The intense anger was gone. The overwhelming frustration had decreased from a 9 to about a 4. He could think more clearly. He finished the phone call calmly, made his case without getting upset. After the call, he checked his blood pressure. Before the Valsalva, it had been 188 over 106. He knew because he'd checked it mid-argument, which had made him even more upset. After the Valsalva, it was 162 over 94. 26 points systolic drop. Still elevated, but dramatically better. And the emotional reset was just as valuable as the pressure drop. Robert used this technique regularly over the following months. Anytime he felt a spike coming, stop, sit, deep breath, bear down for 20 seconds. It became automatic, and it worked consistently. Combined with the diving reflex technique, he had 2 powerful tools for acute spikes. Let's practice the Valsalva right now so you know how it feels. Important safety note first. If you have heart disease, skip this exercise. If you have glaucoma, skip it. If you have hernias, skip it. The straining can be dangerous for these conditions. For everyone else who's cleared to try it, sit comfortably. Take a deep breath in. Fill your lungs completely. Good. Now hold that breath and bear down. Tighten your abdominal muscles. Create pressure in your chest and belly. I'm counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep that pressure going. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You're halfway there, don't give up. 11. 12. 13. 14. 15. Keep the pressure strong. 16. 17. 18. 19. 20. Release. Breathe normally. Feel what just happened? Your face probably got red during the maneuver. You felt pressure in your head. Your chest felt tight. And now, as you're breathing normally, you should notice your heart rate has slowed down. Put your fingers on your wrist and feel your pulse. It's slower than it was before the Valsalva. That's vagal activation. That's parasympathetic turning on and sympathetic turning off. In a real spike situation, this technique can drop your pressure 20 to 30 points. The protocol is straightforward. Sit down, deep breath. Bear down for 20 seconds, counting in your head. Release. Breathe normally for 30 to 60 seconds. Check your pressure if you have a monitor. If still high, repeat up to 3 times total. Most people find 1 or 2 Valsalva maneuvers are enough to significantly reduce a spike. Now let me teach you the third technique for acute sympathetic shutdown. This is specifically designed for panic and anxiety-driven spikes. It's called the 4-7-8 emergency breath. This technique was developed by Dr. Andrew Weil and has been studied extensively for its effects on the nervous system. Here's how it works. You breathe in through your nose for 4 counts. You hold your breath for 7 counts. You breathe out through your mouth for 8 counts. The specific timing creates several physiological effects that shut down sympathetic activity and activate parasympathetic. First, the breath hold. When you hold your breath after inhaling, carbon dioxide builds up slightly in your blood. Not to dangerous levels, just a mild increase. This slight CO2 buildup triggers what's called the relaxation response. Your body interprets the CO2 rise as a signal to calm down, to slow metabolic rate. This is a survival mechanism. Second, the extended exhale. When you breathe out for 8 counts, much longer than the 4-count inhale, you're creating a breathing ratio of 1 to 2. Inhale is half the length of exhale. This ratio powerfully activates your vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is stimulated most during exhalation. The longer the exhale, the stronger the vagal activation. An 8-count exhale creates profound parasympathetic dominance. Third, the mouth breathing on the exhale. When you purse your lips and breathe out through your mouth, you create slight resistance. This resistance prolongs the exhale and increases the activation of your diaphragm. Your diaphragm is connected to your vagus nerve. Strong diaphragmatic activation means strong vagal activation. The combination of these 3 elements, the breath hold, the extended exhale, and the mouth breathing, creates one of the most powerful breathing techniques for shutting down panic and sympathetic activation. Let me tell you about Margaret. She was 73 years old. She had severe health anxiety. Any unusual symptom would trigger intense panic. A weird pain in her chest, a moment of dizziness, numbness in her hand. Immediately, her mind would go to the worst case: heart attack, stroke, brain tumor. The panic would escalate rapidly. Her heart would start racing. Her blood pressure would spike. She'd feel more symptoms, which would increase the panic, which would cause more symptoms. Spiral. She'd been to the emergency room 6 times in 1 year. Every time, they'd find nothing wrong. They'd tell her it was anxiety. They'd send her home. But the panic attacks kept happening, and every panic attack would spike her pressure to 170, 180, sometimes higher. These spikes were actually dangerous, even though the original symptom that triggered the panic was harmless. I taught Margaret the 4-7-8 emergency breath. Margaret, the next time you feel panic starting, the next time that cascade of fear and physical symptoms begins, I want you to stop everything. Sit down, close your eyes, and do 4 cycles of 4-7-8 breathing with me counting. In through nose for 4, hold for 7, out through mouth for 8. This will interrupt the panic spiral. Second, the extended exhale. When you breathe out for 8 counts, much longer than the 4-count inhale, you're creating a breathing ratio of 1 to 2. Inhale is half the length of exhale. This ratio powerfully activates your vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is stimulated most during exhalation. The longer the exhale, the stronger the vagal activation. An 8-count exhale creates profound parasympathetic dominance. Third, the mouth breathing on the exhale. When you purse your lips and breathe out through your mouth, you create slight resistance. This resistance prolongs the exhale and increases the activation of your diaphragm. Your diaphragm is connected to your vagus nerve. Strong diaphragmatic activation means strong vagal activation. The combination of these three elements, the breath hold, the extended exhale, and the mouth breathing, creates one of the most powerful breathing techniques for shutting down panic and sympathetic activation. Margaret was skeptical. Breathing is going to stop a panic attack? I've tried breathing exercises before. They don't work when I'm really panicking. I explained that this wasn't just any breathing exercise. This was a specific pattern with specific timing that creates measurable changes in nervous system activity. Try it once during a real panic attack. If it doesn't help, you never have to do it again. But give it one real try. A week later, Margaret was home alone. She felt a strange twinge in her chest, sharp, brief pain. Her immediate thought, heart attack. Panic started, heart racing, more chest sensations, more panic. She felt it spiraling. But instead of calling 911 or spiraling completely, she remembered what I'd taught her. She sat down on her couch, closed her eyes, started 4-7-8 breathing. In through nose, counting 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out through mouth 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. She did one cycle. The panic was still there, maybe an 8 out of 10. But she continued. Second cycle. In 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Panic decreased to about a 6. She could feel it. Third cycle, same pattern. Panic down to a 4. Fourth cycle, down to a 2. After 4 cycles, taking maybe 90 seconds total, the panic was manageable. Her heart rate, which had been 115, was down to 82. She could think clearly enough to recognize that the chest twinge was probably just muscle strain, not a heart attack. She checked her blood pressure. It had spiked to 176/102 at the peak of panic. After the 4-7-8 breathing, it was 152/88. Still elevated from baseline, but down 24 points from the peak. Margaret called me later that day. She was amazed. For the first time ever, she'd stopped a panic attack on her own. She'd interrupted the spiral. She had a tool that worked. Over the following months, she used 4-7-8 breathing dozens of times. Sometimes she'd catch panic early, and 1 or 2 cycles would be enough. Other times, she'd need to do it for several minutes. But it always helped. Always brought the panic down, always dropped her pressure. Let's practice 4-7-8 breathing together right now. 4 complete cycles. I'll count for you. Sit comfortably. You can close your eyes if you want. Place one hand on your belly if that helps you focus on breathing deeply. Cycle 1. Breathe in through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathe out through your mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Cycle 2. In through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out through your mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Cycle 3. In. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Cycle 4. Final cycle. In. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. Open your eyes. Notice how you feel. Calmer, more centered, heart rate slower. That shift you feel is real, measurable nervous system change, from sympathetic to parasympathetic. If you just practiced with me and felt that immediate calming effect, comment 478 works below. I want to see how many of you experienced it. The protocol for 478 breathing is simple. 4 cycles minimum during acute panic or stress. Can do up to 8 cycles if needed. Can be done anywhere, anytime. Sitting, standing, even lying down. Eyes open or closed. The key is maintaining the specific timing. 4 in, 7 hold, 8 out. Don't rush it. Count at a steady pace. Those 3 techniques, diving reflex, Valsalva, and 478 breathing, are your emergency toolkit for acute sympathetic spikes. When your pressure shoots up suddenly, when you're panicking, when stress hits hard, use one or all 3 of these. They work in minutes and can drop your pressure 20 to 40 points quickly. But now we need to talk about the bigger problem for most people: chronic sympathetic activation. This is when your baseline sympathetic tone is elevated all day, every day. Even when you're not acutely stressed, your sympathetic system is running too hot. This requires different techniques, daily practices that reset your nervous system over weeks and months. Technique 4 for chronic sympathetic reset is called heart rate variability coherence breathing. This is the single most powerful daily practice for lowering baseline sympathetic tone. Let me explain what heart rate variability is and why training it is so important. Your heart doesn't beat like a metronome. The time between beats varies constantly. This variation is called heart rate variability, or HRV. When you have high HRV, it means your heart is responding flexibly to changing demands. It can speed up when needed, slow down when appropriate. High HRV indicates strong parasympathetic tone and healthy nervous system balance. When HRV is low, it means your heart beats in a rigid, inflexible pattern. This indicates sympathetic dominance. Your nervous system is stuck in stress mode. People with chronic high blood pressure almost always have low HRV. Their hearts beat at 72, 73, 72, 73. Very little variation. This rigidity is a marker of autonomic dysfunction. But here's the exciting part. You can increase HRV through a specific breathing pattern. Breathing at exactly 6 breaths per minute. That's 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out, continuously. When you breathe at this rate, something remarkable happens. Your heart rate variation synchronizes with your breath. Heart rate goes up slightly during inhale, down slightly during exhale. This creates a smooth, wave-like pattern. This synchronized state is called coherence. When you practice coherence breathing daily, you train your autonomic nervous system. You increase your baseline HRV. You strengthen parasympathetic tone. You reduce sympathetic dominance. The research on this is extensive and overwhelming. Multiple studies show that 20 minutes of coherence breathing daily can reduce blood pressure by 10 to 15 points over 8 to 12 weeks. It's as effective as adding a blood pressure medication. And unlike medications, the benefits continue to build over time. William practiced coherence breathing every single morning. He'd set his alarm 20 minutes earlier. Wake up, don't look at his phone, don't turn on the news. Just sit in a comfortable chair and breathe. 5 seconds in through his nose, 5 seconds out through his nose. For 20 minutes, 120 breaths. He'd use a phone app that beeped to help him maintain the timing. The first week was difficult. His mind wandered constantly. He'd lose count, get distracted, feel like it was a waste of time. But I'd told him to stick with it for at least 3 weeks. That's how long it takes for the nervous system to start adapting. By week 2, it was easier. His mind still wandered, but less. By week 3, he actually started looking forward to this morning practice. It became his calm time, his reset time. By week 4, he noticed changes. His baseline anxiety level had decreased. He wasn't waking up with his mind immediately racing. By week 8, his blood pressure was noticeably lower, even before any medication adjustments. The mechanism behind coherence breathing's effects on blood pressure is multi-layered. First, Regular practice increases vagal tone. Your vagus nerve becomes stronger, more responsive. Second, it improves baroreflex sensitivity. Your baroreceptors, those pressure sensors, become better at regulating pressure. Third, it reduces cortisol. Your baseline stress hormone levels decrease. Fourth, it improves endothelial function. The lining of your blood vessels works better, producing more nitric oxide, which is a powerful vasodilator. All of these mechanisms work together to lower blood pressure. Let's practice coherence breathing together. We'll do 3 minutes, which is 18 breath cycles. In a real practice, you'd do 20 minutes, but 3 minutes will give you the feel of it. I'll count every single breath for you. Get very comfortable. This should feel easy, not forced. Smooth, gentle breathing. Here we go. Breathe 1. In through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe 2. In. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe 3. In. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe 4. In. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe 5. In. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe 6. In. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1/3 complete. You're creating coherence right now. Breathe 7. In. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe 8. In. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe 9. In. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe 10. In. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe 11. In. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe 12. In. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2/3 done. Your nervous system is shifting into balance. Breathe 13. In. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe 14. In. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe 15. In. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe 16. In. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe 17. In. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe 18. Final breath. In, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Excellent. That's what 3 minutes feels like. Calm, centered, balanced. Now imagine doing 20 minutes every morning. That's how you reset your autonomic nervous system. That's how you shift from chronic sympathetic dominance to healthy balance. Now comment honestly. Can you commit to 20 minutes of coherence breathing every morning? Comment yes or no. I want to see who's willing to do the daily work. The protocol is 20 minutes daily. Best done first thing in the morning before looking at phone or news. Sit comfortably with back support. Use a timer or app to maintain 6 breaths per minute timing. Breathe through your nose both in and out. Make the breathing smooth and easy, not forced. If 20 minutes feels overwhelming at first, start with 10 and build up. Consistency matters more than duration. Better to do 10 minutes every day than 20 minutes sporadically. Now, Technique 5 for chronic sympathetic reset. Progressive muscle relaxation with autonomic training. Most people have heard of progressive muscle relaxation. You tense and relax muscle groups systematically. But most people do it wrong for autonomic training. They just tense and relax without the breathing component. Here's how to do it correctly for maximum sympathetic shutdown. You're going to tense each muscle group while breathing in. This intentionally activates sympathetic. Then you're going to release the muscle while breathing out slowly. This activates parasympathetic. This trains your nervous system to recognize the difference between these two states. Over time, you develop conscious control over the switch. Start with your feet. Curl your toes tight. While curling, breathe in for 5 seconds. Feel the sympathetic activation, the tension. Then release your toes completely and breathe out for 10 seconds. Feel the parasympathetic activation, the relaxation. The exhale should be twice as long as the inhale. This 1-to-2 ratio maximizes vagal activation. Move systematically through your body. Calves. Tighten your calf muscles, breathe in for 5. Release completely, breathe out for 10. Thighs. Tighten, in for 5. Release, out for 10. Glutes, abdomen, chest, arms, shoulders, neck, face. Each muscle group gets the same pattern. 5-second tense with inhale. 10-second release with extended exhale. The whole sequence takes about 10 to 12 minutes. What's powerful about this technique is the contrast. You're intentionally creating sympathetic activation with the tensing and inhale, then immediately shifting to parasympathetic with the release and extended exhale. This contrast teaches your nervous system to make the shift. It's like weight training for your autonomic nervous system. William did this every evening before bed. It served 2 purposes. First, it released all the muscle tension he'd accumulated during the day. Tension in shoulders, neck, jaw from chronic stress. Second, it helped him sleep better. The deep relaxation state it created made falling asleep easier, and better sleep meant better blood pressure. Sleep is when your pressure should dip by 10 to 20%. If you're not sleeping well, you lose that nocturnal dipping. Progressive muscle relaxation improved William's sleep quality significantly. After 6 weeks of nightly practice, William noticed something else. During the day, he could feel when his sympathetic system was activating. He'd notice his shoulders tensing, his jaw clenching, and he could consciously release that tension, consciously shift from sympathetic to parasympathetic. This awareness and control was transformative. Instead of being at the mercy of his nervous system, he had agency. He could influence it. The protocol. Practice nightly before bed. Find a quiet space. Lie down or sit in a very comfortable chair. Work through each muscle group systematically. 5-second tense with inhale. 10-second release with slow exhale. Don't skip muscle groups. The complete sequence is important. After finishing, lie or sit quietly for 2 to 3 minutes, enjoying the deep relaxation state. Technique 6 for chronic sympathetic reset is vagal tone strengthening. Your vagus nerve is like a muscle. The more you activate it, the stronger it gets. Strong vagal tone means powerful parasympathetic control. This means your ability to shut down sympathetic activation improves dramatically. There are multiple ways to strengthen vagal tone. Cold exposure, gargling vigorously, singing or humming loudly. These all activate the vagus nerve. But the most powerful method for strengthening vagal tone is breath holds with empty lungs. Here's how it works and why it's so effective. You breathe out completely. Empty your lungs fully. Now, with empty lungs, hold your breath for as long as is comfortably possible. Not until you're gasping and desperate, just until you feel a strong urge to breathe. This might be 20 seconds for some people, 40 seconds for others. When you finally breathe in, do it slowly and smoothly through your nose. During the breath hold with empty lungs, carbon dioxide builds up in your blood. This CO2 buildup is uncomfortable. Your body doesn't like it. But here's what happens. When you finally breathe in after that hold, your vagus nerve activates powerfully. It's responding to the CO2 buildup and the relief of breathing. This strong activation is like doing a bicep curl for your vagus nerve. It's a training stimulus. If you do this regularly, 5 breath holds once daily, your baseline vagal tone increases over weeks. Studies measuring vagal tone directly show improvements with regular practice, and increased vagal tone translates directly to better blood pressure control. William added vagal breath holds to his morning routine. Right after his 20 minutes of coherence breathing, he'd do 5 breath holds. Breathe out completely. Hold with empty lungs until strong urge to breathe. Breathe in slowly. Rest for 30 to 60 seconds. Repeat 5 times total. Within 3 weeks, William noticed his resting heart rate had dropped. He'd always been around 76 beats per minute at rest. Now, he was 68. A lower resting heart rate is a direct marker of increased vagal tone. And as his vagal tone increased over the following months, his blood pressure continued its steady decline. The protocol. 5 breath holds daily. Best done after your coherence breathing practice or at another consistent time. Breathe out completely through your mouth. Hold with lungs empty. Time yourself if you want to track progress. Hold until strong urge to breathe, usually 20 to 60 seconds depending on fitness. Breathe in slowly through nose. Rest 30 to 60 seconds. Repeat 5 times. Safety note. If you feel dizzy or lightheaded, you're holding too long. Shorten the hold. This should feel challenging but not dangerous. Let's practice one vagal breath hold together. Breathe in normally. Now breathe out completely. Empty your lungs. Pause the video here if you need to. Hold your breath with lungs empty. I'll count for you, but you can stop anytime you need to. Holding. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. Feel the urge building. 15 seconds. 20 seconds. Getting uncomfortable. 25 seconds. 30 seconds. If you're still holding, well done. 35. 40. Okay, that's enough. Breathe in slowly through your nose. Don't gasp. Slow, smooth inhale. Feel that? That relief of breathing. That's when vagal activation happens most powerfully. Do that 5 times daily and your vagus nerve gets stronger week by week. And now technique 7 for chronic sympathetic reset. Circadian realignment. This is the technique most people have never heard of, but it's critically important for blood pressure control. Your sympathetic nervous system is supposed to follow a circadian rhythm. It should be higher in the morning to help you wake up and be active, lower in the evening to help you wind down and sleep. But in people with chronic high blood pressure, this rhythm is disrupted. Sympathetic stays elevated all day and doesn't decrease properly at night. When your sympathetic system doesn't drop at night, your blood pressure doesn't dip during sleep. Normally, blood pressure should be 10 to 20% lower during sleep than during waking hours. This nocturnal dipping is essential for cardiovascular health. It gives your heart and blood vessels time to rest and repair. People who don't have proper nocturnal dipping have much higher rates of heart attack, stroke, and heart failure. You can realign your circadian sympathetic rhythm through 2 main interventions: timed light exposure and timed eating. Let me explain each. Light exposure. Your circadian clock, which controls sympathetic rhythm, is set primarily by light exposure to your eyes. When bright light hits your retinas in the morning, it sends signals to your suprachiasmatic nucleus. This is your master clock in your brain. It says, "It's daytime, time to be active." This increases cortisol and sympathetic activity appropriately. Then, when light decreases in the evening, your master clock says, "It's nighttime, time to rest." This should decrease sympathetic and increase melatonin for sleep. But here's the problem. Most people don't get enough bright light in the morning, and they get too much bright light in the evening from screens. This confuses the circadian clock. It doesn't know when daytime ends and nighttime begins. The result is disrupted sympathetic rhythm. The fix: get bright light exposure, ideally sunlight, within 30 minutes of waking. Go outside. Even on a cloudy day, outdoor light is much brighter than indoor light. Spend 10 to 30 minutes outside. Don't wear sunglasses during this time. You need the light to hit your eyes. This sets your clock strongly for daytime. Then, in the evening, 2 to 3 hours before bed, reduce light exposure. Dim the lights. Use warm-colored bulbs. Avoid bright screens. This tells your clock that nighttime is approaching. Timed eating. Your circadian clock is also influenced by when you eat. When you eat, it signals activity. Daytime. When you're not eating, it signals rest. Nighttime. But most people eat across a 14 to 16-hour window. Breakfast at 7 a.m., snacking until 11 p.m. This keeps sending daytime signals all day and evening. The fix: compress your eating into a 10 to 12-hour window. If you eat breakfast at 7 a.m., finish dinner by 7 p.m. No eating after 7 p.m. This creates a clear fasting period of 12 hours overnight. This fasting period allows your sympathetic system to decrease properly. Allows your parasympathetic system to dominate. Essential for proper blood pressure dipping during sleep. William implemented both interventions strictly. Every morning, within 30 minutes of waking, he'd go outside, sit on his porch, drink his coffee outside, get 20 to 30 minutes of morning light. Then, in the evening, no screens after 8 p.m. He bought red-tinted light bulbs for his bedroom lamps, created a dim, warm light environment, and he set a strict eating window. Breakfast at 7 a.m. Dinner finished by 6:30 p.m. No snacking after dinner. Within 2 weeks, his sleep improved dramatically. He was falling asleep faster, sleeping more deeply, waking less during the night. But more importantly, when we measured his blood pressure with a 24-hour monitor, we saw proper nocturnal dipping for the first time in years. His daytime pressure averaged 138/82. His nighttime pressure averaged 118/68. That's a 20-point systolic dip. Perfect. Healthy. This nocturnal dipping alone probably reduced his cardiovascular risk by 30 to 40%. The protocol: morning light within 30 minutes of waking, 10 to 30 minutes of outdoor light, no sunglasses, let the light hit your eyes. Evening light reduction starting 2 to 3 hours before bed, dim lights, warm colors, no bright screens. Eating window of 10 to 12 hours maximum. If breakfast at 7 a.m., dinner done by 6 or 7 p.m. No snacking outside this window. Consistency is key. Do this every single day, including weekends. Your circadian clock needs regular signals. Now let me bring all 7 techniques together into William's complete protocol. This is exactly what he did to drop his blood pressure from 178/104 down to 136/80 over 6 months. For acute spikes, he had 3 techniques ready. Diving reflex with ice water. Valsalva bearing down for 20 seconds. 4-7-8 breathing for 4 cycles. Anytime his pressure spiked suddenly, he'd use 1 or more of these to bring it down immediately. For chronic sympathetic reset, his daily routine. Every morning, wake up. Immediate morning sunlight exposure for 20 minutes. Then 20 minutes of coherence breathing at 6 breaths per minute. Then 5 vagal breath holds. Breakfast by 7:30 a.m. Every evening, dinner finished by 6:30 p.m. No eating after. At 8 p.m., all screens off. Dim, warm lighting only. At 9 p.m., 10 minutes of progressive muscle relaxation. Bed by 10 p.m. That was his complete protocol. He did this consistently, every single day, for 6 months. No special diet initially, though he did reduce salt and processed foods over time. No new supplements. No extreme interventions. Just turning off his sympathetic nervous system through these 7 techniques. The results speak for themselves. Blood pressure went from 178/104 on 4 medications, down to 136/80 on 2 medications. His cardiologist eliminated 2 medications entirely and reduced the doses on the other 2. William felt better than he'd felt in a decade. Energy returned, brain fog lifted, sleep improved, anxiety decreased, quality of life transformed. But beyond the numbers, what William valued most was the sense of control. For years, he'd felt like his blood pressure controlled him, dictated his life, made him a victim. Now he had tools. He had agency. He could influence his own physiology. That psychological shift was as important as the physical changes. Now, I need to be clear about something important. These 7 techniques don't replace your blood pressure medications. Don't stop taking your pills. What these techniques do is make your medications work better. They remove the sympathetic override that's been fighting your medications. As your pressure drops with these techniques, work with your doctor to reduce medications safely under supervision. But never stop medications on your own. Also, these techniques work best when combined with other healthy habits. If you're eating a terrible diet full of processed foods, sodium, and sugar, if you're completely sedentary, if you're drinking alcohol heavily, if you're smoking, these techniques will help, but they won't fix everything. You need a comprehensive approach. But turning off sympathetic activation is the foundation. Everything else builds on that. Let me also address some specific situations. If you have diabetes, these techniques are safe and beneficial. They may improve your blood sugar control as sympathetic system calms down. Monitor your blood sugar carefully. If you have kidney disease, these techniques are generally safe, but avoid the Valsalva if you have severe kidney disease. Check with your doctor. If you have heart failure, the breathing techniques are excellent. Avoid the Valsalva. Focus on coherence breathing and vagal training. If you're on multiple medications and nothing is working, you're probably the perfect candidate for these techniques. Your sympathetic override is likely very strong. Now comment and tell me your biggest takeaway. What's the one technique you're going to start with today? Comment diving reflex if you're trying ice water for spikes. Comment HRV breathing if you're committing to 20 minutes daily. Comment circadian if you're fixing light exposure and eating window. I want to see what resonates most with you. I know some of you have very complex situations. You're on 6 medications. You have diabetes and kidney disease and heart failure. You've tried everything and nothing works. You're desperate and scared. Those situations are too complex and too personal for a YouTube comment section. Your medical details are unique. Your medication list is complicated. You need personalized guidance. That's why I want to stay connected with you beyond this video. Join my newsletter. The link is in the description. When you join, you can email me directly. Tell me your complete situation, your current medications, your other medical conditions, your struggles, what you've tried that hasn't worked. I read every email personally, and I respond with specific guidance for your individual case. Not generic advice that applies to everyone. Specific direction based on your unique circumstances. For some of you with particularly complex or challenging situations, we might even be able to arrange a personal consultation, a one-on-one session where we can dive deep into your specific case and create a comprehensive plan tailored exactly to you. But I need to know your details first. I need to understand what you're dealing with. Join the newsletter. Send me an email. Let me help you personally. Everything you need to get started is in this video. Complete information. 7 proven techniques. Full protocols. The exact same information I gave William. But your situation is unique. If you need specific guidance for your individual case, beyond what a general video can provide, join my newsletter. Let me guide you personally through your specific challenges. Before you go, please share this video. Think about everyone you know with high blood pressure. Your family, your friends, people in your community. How many of them are struggling with pressure that won't come down despite multiple medications? How many are stuck like William was? This information could change their lives. A simple share could help someone you care about. Subscribe to this channel because my mission is giving you medical-grade information that actually works. Information that you can use today to take control of your health. Not theories, not speculation. Proven interventions with real results. Thank you for watching. Thank you for taking your health seriously. Thank you for being willing to do the work. You now know what that one switch is, your sympathetic nervous system, and you know exactly how to turn it off. 7 techniques, complete protocols, everything you need. Use these tools, practice them daily, be consistent, and watch your blood pressure transform, just like Williams did. I'll see you in the next video where we continue taking control of your cardiovascular health together.